Welcome to Magny-Cours, where two Seats occupy the front row, with BMW having dominated this circuit for the last 3 years, winning every FIA touring car race here. But BMW driver, who's won 4 out of the last 6, Jörg Müller, starts without the disadvantage of ballast and must be a favourite here. BMW are smarting though. At Monza in the last race, not a single driver finished in the top 10. But this is a BMW circuit. But don't say that to the Seat drivers on the front row, Tarquini and Rydell, because they have those positions. Only in the first 5 will we find Jörg Müller, a BMW, with 4 Seats in the top 5 qualifying places. Alongside me, David Leslie, my name's Tony Delahunty, and we'll keep you right in touch with all the thrills and spills of what could be a very exciting BMW Seat, and if Alfa Romeo can get their act together, they could get in the frame, along with Chevrolet as well. But I think, David, you see this as very much BMW versus Seat from the beginning.
Yes, certainly. I think at the beginning, all those cars at the front, and you've got to go back to the 6th row before you find something else, and that's Chevrolet. Alfa Romeo having a really terrible weekend here so far. So it's all either a Seat or BMWs at the front of the grid. The Seats are in yellow, BMWs generally white, with the various colours of the nationalities of the drivers striped along the side of the car. That's Alex Zanardi with the Italian flag along the side of the car, so you can see that. And there's the blue flag of the Chevrolet teams supporting their drivers.
Well, we're going to start a new sequence now. It's called Ups and Downs. For each event, we present who are up and who are down from the previous events. So here's the ups and downs of Monza. Oh, very much the man of the Monza weekend was Yvan Müller. Frenchman, newcomer in the championship, ended twice in 2nd position and is the leader of the championship, driving his Seat. Great performance from Augusto Farfus. He's up 2 by winning round 2 in Monza. The Brazilian demonstrated that the Alfa Romeo is still a winning car on certain kinds of tracks. Up also, well, up and down. Andy Priaulx, world champion in 2005, started the season perfectly, pole position and victory in round 1. But a crash in round 2 prevented him from leading the championship. Very much down was Jörg Müller. The German driver had a mechanical problem in round 1 and was pushed out spinning by Stefano Dast in round 2. No points in the championship. Bad start. Down to Rickard Rydell. Not a good week. Only 3 points scored, crashed out by Huff in round 2. Down also Gianni Morbidelli. Difficult start. Well, we're just waiting for the green flag lap. The race, well, coincidentally, just about to get underway. An all Seat front row. Gabriele Tarquini carrying 30 kilos, quite remarkable really. One of the veterans sporting a new young son, Matteo, who says he wants to dedicate the race victory to. Well, we'll see. One or two people like Jörg Müller may want to have a say about that, but an all Seat front row. Rickard Rydell, put the 2 ages together, it comes to 84, average of 42, a lot of experience on that front row. But Jörg Müller is a man who can put it about a bit. Jordi Genier with the Seat on the 2nd row. That is the German driver Terting up there, with Dirk Müller, who also carries 10k. Top of the independents, Tom Coronel with the very much orange car, the Netherlands driver. Zanardi is up there as well, going back a bit further down the grid. That's Yvan Müller leading the championship, 2 2nd places at Monza. But, you know, what I was saying before, David, you know, not one BMW in the top 10 of the 2nd race over there. They must be wanting to put matters right here.
Yes, very much so. It wasn't a good race for them at all. They all had accident damage, or, well, in fact, they all had accident damage, to be perfectly honest, not any mechanical problems that I've seen. But that's obviously something they want to put behind them. This is a very fast circuit like Monza, quite flowing circuit, so we'll have to see what happens in the first race. The first race always tends to be a little bit more gentle than the second race, because you only have 15-minute break between the two races to prepare the cars and get them back out onto the circuit. So if you do a lot of damage in race 1, you're never going to make the race in race 2. You need to try and score points in both races. So nice gentle first race, and then it's out usually in race 2 that they all sort of take the brain out, throw it away and run into each other.
I've never heard the expression of sort of nice and gentle in touring cars before, but never mind.
It's as gentle as you can get compared to race 2.
A gentleman's race.
I wouldn't say they're always gentlemen, but certainly they're always racing. But there you can see at the front, those 4 Seats, those yellow cars there, and that one BMW right in the middle, and that's Jörg Müller.
But BMWs start very quickly. They're very quick to get away from the grid. Is that going to be a problem for the 2 Seats, or can they sort of team box him and keep him out?
If you look, when you line up on the grid, you'll see they're not actually 2 by 2. It's a staggered grid, so it'll be quite difficult to try and keep Jörg back. And the BMW rear-wheel drive does make very good starts. That's something that does help them a lot in their races, because once you're in front, it is very difficult to try and get past, and that's a big plus for the rear-wheel drive car.
Current world champion, he's British, his name's Andy Priaulx. He starts 9th. Now what can he do? He's carrying a fair amount of weight, 45 kilos.
What he wants to do is he wants to just score points, basically. He's got his championship head on now after the first race, and he knows he needs to go out there, no accidents, no damage, no mechanical problems. He knows he needs to score points, and that's what he wants to do.
Yes, Ivan Müller we're on board with 2 second places, gets him right top of the shop. 16 points so far in the championship for the leader of the championship, but with it, you know, you love to carry the weight for the points, but the weight itself, 65 kilos he has to carry. 2 very, very, very fast chicanes here, and some of the touring car drivers were saying the fastest chicanes that they've come across anywhere in the world. So Tarquini on the front row. Seat, from Seat, Ricard Rydell had a win last year. Would very much like to get one. Now look at that white car in there. The king of Magny-Cours there, putting that title to him. 4 wins in the last 3 years. There's the green flag. David Leslie's eyes are on those lights. So are mine. And we're going to get underway with red across. It clears away, and what are we going to see? Are we going to see the dive through the middle? Yes, it's straight the way there. There's a little BMW coming up through the first corner, and Jörg Müller had it, and we've got to see a BMW sweeping through, and Dirk Müller into second place. So first and second place, the 2 BMWs. That was an astonishingly quick start. David?
It was exactly what BMW wanted. It was exactly what Seat had feared, but Seat will not give up. They will be hounding the back of those cars for the whole 12-lap race.
And there's another BMW in the frame, and a BMW in the gravel as well, but let's concentrate on the front for the minute. There's a gaggle of 4 of those Seats there, and they must be in their own way saying, my goodness, that was a start, we should have done better from that. But really, there's a couple of BMW just behind the box there, but we're again now on board with the current champion. He's a little bit farther back down the field at the moment for us to concentrate on. But Jörg Müller, well, he's had 4 victories in the last 3 seasons here. BMW have had 6. Dirk Müller's had a victory here, and of course the current world champion Andy Priaulx has had a BMW victory as well. But what can the Seats do about it? Because at the moment Jörg Müller is getting away, and could team thinking come in here?
The team, no. At this point of the championship, everybody's out for themselves to score as many points as possible and try and get the win. So the only team's thinking is inter-team. It's not a case of individual drivers trying to help other drivers.
So there couldn't be a case of Dirk Müller saying, OK, I'm going to hold these guys up, Jörg, you get away.
Not at this point of the season, because there's lots of points available. It's very difficult to score points in this championship, and everyone has to go for whatever points he can possibly get.
But the fact of the matter does exist that Dirk Müller is a buffer in between the 2. It's between those 4 Seats, and Jörg Müller, who knows this circuit and likes it so well, is getting away.
He is getting away, but right behind the second BMW is Dirk's car, and then there's the Seats now. We have Cornell moving up a place, and he's moving just ahead of Luca Rangoni with the privateer BMW there.
So let me tell you how it stands at the moment. Jörg Müller in first place. BMW from Dirk Müller, BMW. Then Ricard Rydell, Seat. Tarquini, Seat. Genet, Seat. Terting, Seat. And then Andy Prio has moved up 2 places already. He's now up into 7th place. So the race panning out this way. Jörg Müller made a cracking start in between the 2 Seats there and away, and we're looking back now. 2 of the 16 laps it's showing on the screen there. Our information coming through whether it was a 12-lap race, but we'll keep you right up to date, so make no mistake, as things change we'll notify you as well. Looking at the Chevrolets all fairly close together, the Alfa Romeos, a couple of them running fairly close together as well, and we are now looking at Jörg Müller. We're looking at Dirk Müller, we're looking at Ricard Rydell, and there's Robert Huff. Huff at the moment, I'm just looking, he's way back, he's in 13th place, is Robert Huff, the Chevrolet driver. And again, there's Müller, Rydell. Now the gap is, as we can see on the screen there, 1.28, then 1.6 for the gap to Rydell. And the car coming very much down there, the inside there, just manages, I can tell you off screen, to hold it onto the circuit. But holding on to the lead, it's still for the moment Jörg Müller, and he knows this circuit very well indeed. I think success, a feeling of success regularly on a circuit, definitely is bound to build great confidence, isn't it?
Yeah, he has a lot of confidence in this circuit. He's done very well here in the past, and he comes knowing that he can drive the circuit well, knowing he's got a very good car to be able to go out there and win this race. And now he's got a buffer, as you said, with his teammate sitting behind. But here we see a restart. There's the lights, out to go, there's the start. Now you can see that BMW just takes off through between, and the other BMW goes with it. And even Andy Prio, you can see, was faster starting than the guys in front of him. And those BMWs into that first corner first. They do just rocket off that start line.
But Dirk Müller from 6th to 2nd, I mean, that's fantastic start work.
It is absolutely phenomenal. But there you see from an onboard shot, the 2 Seats, yes, they were closing to try and stop that from happening, but it was too late. He was gone through there and he was disappearing. But now we see Rydell right behind Dirk Müller, giving him a hard time. Behind that is Tarquini. And Ricard Rydell, he was the first man to win for Seat last year. And there's some yellow flags being waved at that point. We're not sure why. I can't see who's gone off or where they've gone, but we can see the truck in the background making its way to that corner. And
I can tell you also that maybe it's the pressure from Rydell, but Dirk Müller is certainly responding to that pressure, and his namesake Jörg Müller, he's actually just hauling just a little bit in. There's only about a couple of hundredths of a second there in the gap between the 2 of them. It's fairly consistent, and ironically not quite as consistent in all different parts of the circuit, so there may be a slightly speed differential between the 2. Remember that Dirk Müller is carrying 10 kilos, not an awful lot of difference between the 2. Tarquini, who's in that bunch, is now in 4th place. Tarquini carrying 30 kilos of weight, but let's concentrate. Look at those seats all in there together, all 4 of them. There's Tom Coronel coming through also, and one of the Seats a little further back is that one of Ivan Müller, the championship leader. But we're looking at the first of the Chevrolets at the moment. In fact, there's 2 of the Chevrolets, just one ahead of another with a bit of a sandwich in between. But I can tell you just as I speak at the moment that the time gap has gone down. It's only 7/10 of a second. You can see the 2 BMWs joined up now. It's Jörg Müller from Dirk Müller, 0.733. And it looks almost as if Dirk Müller is about to mount his own challenge on the man who's 4 times won at this circuit.
Now you can see the onboard pictures from Dirk following his teammate come out of the hairpin towards the really fast chicane here.
So on board for a moment we were, but if you were on board now, you'll be looking at a very real fight indeed, if you're either looking in the mirrors or looking through the screen of either of those BMWs, because it's Jörg Müller with Dirk Müller now certainly close enough to mount the challenge. And Dirk Müller, I suppose if you're the car in 3rd place now, what's your mindset while you're watching these 2 getting close together? Just keep near enough station to them and see what happens.
just to try and get right onto the back of that second place car. If I'm Rickard Rydell, I don't want to be a couple of car lengths back like he is at the moment. I'd want to be right on his tail, as close to him as I can possibly get. So if anybody makes a mistake, they can get away. But look at this. This is a bit of a Chevrolet sandwich here. You can see they've got Larini in front, and then you've got Ivan Muller with a Seat, and then Robert Hoff right behind, and Alan Menu behind that. So Chevrolet must be very pleased with their performance this weekend, because the cars really are going very well, and they're right up there with the championship leader as well.
Well, lap 3's completed now. We're on to lap 4. Well, you don't even need to be told it's only split tenths of a second that now have these two cars one from the other, that it's still Jörg Muller from Dirk Muller. Dirk, who started, if you've just joined us, where have you been? Well, I can tell you where they've been. They've been very quick indeed. First, Jörg Muller came through the second row. He split the two on that front row, the two Seats, Tarquini and Rydell, and went right into the lead. But at the same time, Dirk Muller, banzai attack on that first corner, came from 6th into 2nd place. So it's been BMW at first. It looked like Jörg Muller would get away, but he hasn't done so. Now Dirk Muller very much on his case, and David said to us before, he thinks that at this stage of the season, no team orders or anything like that. Of course, the worst thing that could happen here, the BMWs after Monza, is these two took each other off.
I think that'd be very difficult for them, because they're teammates, and I'm sure Charlie Lamb in charge of that team would get really upset with them should they do something silly like take each other off.
Oh, there's your Chevrolet battle again. No quarter being given some way back, and you can see the amendment on our screen. Our director working at extreme pace there has just shown that it's we're through 5 of the 12 laps that David Leslie was saying a little bit earlier on was the definite length of the race. But these two are getting a little bit away. I mean, it's only fractionally away as we climb aboard again with a man who maybe just at any moment can have a look, and we may enjoy through our directors the opportunity of seeing that look again a little bit later. But at the moment, still Jörg Muller from Dirk Muller, and there we are. That's the Chevrolets having their own particular battle. Robert Huff is the back marker of those three, and there is Dirk Muller. Just ahead of him still Jörg Muller again, and keeping that watching brief, a very aggressive watching brief, is Rickard Rydell. Let's complete the top 6, then Tarquini, then Genet, then Terting. James Thompson up to 7th. He's got past Andy Prio now. So looking at that leaderboard, in the top 8 there are 5 Seats in the top 8, but the important thing for BMW is they have 1st and 2nd, and they have 8th. 1st and 2nd and 8th, and the other British driver up there then is Prio, and looking at Thompson. So we got 2 there inside the top 8. Robert Huff some further way back, but these two are very close together indeed now.
Yes, they're really chasing each other.
0.4 of a second.
It depends on which part of the circuit you measure it. Sometimes it looks a little bit less than 0.4 of a second. They really are nose to tail. Rickard Rydell just trying to hang on to the back of them. The others not quite keeping up. There you see Andy Prio just going through the picture with his BMW right behind James Thompson. Of course, they're 7th and 8th at the moment now. Once that comes to the second race, the first 8 are reversed on the grid. So it means 7th and 8th become 1st and 2nd. So Andy Prio would start on pole, and James Thompson would start beside him. So it'll be an old British front row should they stay in this position through to the end of the 12 laps.
I can tell you at the moment, of course, that Dirk Muller is lying in 7th place in the championship. He's got 5 points. It's a sort of 7th equal place with Alessandro Balzan, but he, of course, is the independent. We'll have a quick look there. I think it'll be Coronel, will it not? Tom Coronel, who is the leader of the independents, with the Seat Toledo from Luca Rangoni in there also. And looking just a little bit further back now, the position of Huff hasn't changed at all. He's still lying in 13th place. So the leading Chevrolet at the moment is Larini with the leading Chevrolet. But the leader of the motor race, very clearly, it is still the man who charged through from that second row. There's Andy Prio, twice the champion, looking to make it a hat-trick of championships in the FIA, now of course called the World Touring Car Championship. 0.34, another 10th difference between Jörg Muller and Dirk Muller. It's so close, you can put a postage stamp over these two. And a little move to one side. What are we going to see here? Are we going to see a move? No, it's not going to make any difference. And that, of course, will bring Ricard Rydell as they battle. It's going to bring Rydell even closer. And Rydell himself may be able to ask the BMW some SEAT questions very soon now. And there is Andy Priaulx again. He currently lying in 8th place. Thompson ahead of him. And back we are with Jörg Muller and Dirk Muller. 7 of 12 laps completed, and Rydell still there. All 5, in fact, there's 5 SEATs in there. Although right at this moment, somebody's trying to change that, and that's Andy Priaulx to try and get in amongst them as well.
He is. He desperately wants to get as many points as possible.
Because the position he's in at the moment, he would start, if he finished there, he'd start in pole for the next race, carrying what, 45 kilos of weight. But Andy Priaulx could be up there. In a way, does it get into that sort of thinking process too in here? You know, 8th might be better than 4th or 5th for the start in the second race.
Well, it's a case of 8th is better than 9th, really. That's the sort of mentality they have, and they really want to be in that top 8 so they can be part of that reverse grid rather than being outside of it. So Andy would be quite happy with his 7th or 8th at the moment. It wouldn't matter which to him, because he'd be on the front row beside the SEAT.
Now Jörg Muller at the moment, experienced, mind you, both of these Mullers are very, very experienced drivers. There's 2 different mindsets, David Leslie, between these two at the moment, with just 4 laps remaining. Rick Rydell with his own mindset just behind them. But in the position at the moment, which would you prefer to be, the leader?
Well, you always prefer to be in the lead, but this is a real battle for the lead, because Dirk Muller wants to get past Jörg Muller. You've seen now, twice as they've arrived down at the Adelaide hairpin, he's tried to go around him, he's tried to get past him, he's tried to go around the outside. Now, he's obviously, if he's going to overtake him, he needs to make sure it's a very safe manoeuvre. The last thing you want to do is have these two have an accident, and then for Rydell and Tarquini just to nip through and take the lead away from them.
Well, if you had an accident, you've got SEAT. We've got 5 of them, one after the other.
Through. But there's Rydell now, who really is stuck to the back of Dirk Muller. Dirk knows he's a little bit quicker than what Jörg is, but unfortunately, unless you get a nice clean pass, there's not a lot he can do about it. He's just got to really sit there, try and pick his time. And he's had a couple of good looks down towards the hairpin, the Adelaide hairpin, and that really is the best of the overtaking places. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of overtaking places around this circuit, but when cars are so closely matched like these cars are, because first 2 are teammates with exactly the same cars, but right behind them there's the 4 SEATs, and then further back you got James Thompson and Andy Priaulx together. And as I said, if these guys make any sort of mistake at all, then one of the cars behind will be straight through, if not more.
This is pressure racing, isn't it? At its very, very best. You can see them looking from the pit road at it as well. We'll have 9 laps completed very, very shortly, and we'll just have the last quarter of this race. But it's going to be a hard quarter and no quarter either, because Dirk Muller, he's won on this circuit. Jörg Muller's won 4 times, well 5 actually, but 3 times in the last 4 times in the last 3 seasons. You can see how small the gap is. The visual gap is, well, maybe it looks even smaller than that. Tom Coronel still the leader of the independents, as we might have expected. But Jörg Muller, well, you could say he was the favourite. Dirk Muller is actually carrying 10 kilos more weight. David?
Look at the defensive moving by Jörg Muller. He's having to defend against his teammate. He wants to win this race. He wants to win it more than his teammate, so he's doing everything possible to try and keep his teammate back, and all that defensive driving is allowing these SEATs to catch him. We know Rydell's right on their bumper, but it will be allowing Tarquini as well to catch right up.
Rydell not getting quite close enough yet to have his own go, but I mean, his own go could really put the cat amongst the pigeons, couldn't it, if he gets in a position to be able to do that. And while these two are holding each other up, Rydell maybe has a little bit more in the bottle to be able to go.
That's right. If Dirk makes a move and it doesn't work, then Rydell will be there ready to take the place away from him, and all of a sudden you could see it split in these two works BMWs.
You're watching the World Touring Car Championship. David Leslie, a man who's been in this situation many times. My name's Tony Delahunty. We're going to keep you right up to date with this. We've got another race of the same cars where they reverse the grid, but at the moment you can see just how hard they battle in this one, with the top six: Jörg Muller, from Dirk Muller, from Rickard Rydell, and that is very close indeed to looking like it could be a change. Oh, and he almost went wide there, and Rydell might have had a look also. So this is really 10-10 stuff.
Yeah, he just turned in a bit too early, caught that curb really hard and bounced the car across, and it was only the really good suspension they've got on these BMWs that sort of kept him on there. So
that's a heart-beating, breathe again moment for him, isn't it?
Without doubt, that definitely was. That really was. It wasn't what he wanted to do. And here you see what happened. What set the whole thing off was that Dirk had a good run out, and he was coming down the hill there. He thought he could do something with it, pulled in behind, but Jörg just got a little bit too excited and turned in too early, and that little bit of turning in too early just hit the curb.
So we've got Dirk Muller with the advantage now, with just 2 laps to go. But can Jörg Muller fight it back? We'll see now, because it certainly is going to be right down to the flag here. Jörg Muller wanting the victory, Dirk Muller wanting the victory. Dirk Muller now having got through from 6th on the grid. He came through from that position into 2nd place after Jörg Muller had come through from 3rd, but it's the Dirk Muller variety that's going through at the moment. And I don't know if Jörg Muller can do very much about this now, because he could have snapping at his heels, as he does Rickard Rydell very shortly indeed. But it isn't over yet. Right, Jörg Muller, how do you get back?
You just can't give up. You just got to keep trying and trying. And he knows his teammate was like really on his bum. He touched him a couple of times and was trying to get through, so he knows it's going to be very difficult indeed to come back. But he'll try. He'll give it his everything to make sure he gets there. And certainly look at that. You see, he made a mistake there, did Dirk, having just got through. Already he made a mistake at that right-hand corner and right on his tail, and with a possibility of overtaking manoeuvre, Jörg is straight back there.
Well, Jörg is back there. Now where can he make his move? He got closer again, right up with him again also. I can tell you Rydell was benefiting again, just a little bit from that then, when the two of them came close together. That pulled Rydell even closer still. This is going to go right to the wire. Penultimate lap then. And it's BMW from 5 Seats in succession. Thompson the last of the Seats before we have Andy Priaulx. And it's still, you can see at the top of the screen there, Tarquini in 4th place, Genet in 5th, Terting in 6th, but all eyes on the circuit between the battle, perhaps mainly between these two, but also conscious of Rickard Rydell, who'll be very conscious himself that if either of these two make a slip, he just might be able to nip in and get a victory. And Rydell certainly wants to do that as soon as he possibly can. But this is Dirk Muller. It was, I think last year he had a victory. I think that was in the first of the 2 races here. We'll check on that just a little bit later on. But there's Andy Priaulx looking for a way round James Thompson. There isn't one there, Andy, James is saying. And at the front, there isn't a way through for Jörg Muller at the moment. There's Dirk Muller in the lead. And there, the gaggle of Seats, all thirsty to try and get the victory again that saw them go top of the Manufacturers' Championship table after that really dreadful result of not a single BMW in the top 10 in the second race. But there's 2 in the top 2 here, and that's where it matters. And BMW answering back on the circuit where they've dominated so much over the last 3 seasons. And it's Dirk Muller from Jörg Muller. Dirk carrying that extra little bit of weight there, just 10 kilos extra of weight, and not looking if he's going to be able to find on the last lap, as they get to the last lap, the opportunity of being able to get through. But anything can happen, and as we've been saying earlier, it can happen right down to the last corner. So where will Jörg Muller make his mid? And looking as we come through that very fast chicane again, they can rock and roll through that one onto the other side. The suspension handling it very well indeed, right down the start and finish straight. And it's still Dirk Muller from Jörg Muller, last lap. and the two now away a little bit from Ricard Rydell, which as far as Jorgmuller is concerned maybe will allow him, if he can get close enough, to take the stab at going through without maybe sacrificing the place. But it's still at the front, Dirk Muller, and it's looking as if Dirk Muller, with 0.5 of a second between them, may well have enough to do it now. He might just have enough to do it. Jorgmuller will certainly want that victory if he can get it, but Dirk Muller has looked very, very determined in this race. At first it looked like Jorgmuller might get away, but Dirk is not that far ahead of Jorg again, so there could at any moment now be a chance, and it could change. You could cover these two with a postage stamp. BMW from BMW. David Leslie was telling us yesterday in the warm-up, the one person you don't want to be beaten by is your teammate. These are two teammates, and they're on the very last lap. And so still it's Dirk Muller from Jorgmuller, David.
They're really pushing hard. You can see the cars locking the brakes going into the corners. They're braking late as they can. Just a little bit of loss of traction because they're pushing the cars right to the very limit. But here you can see Jürgen Müller still stuck to that tail of his teammate Dirk Muller. And there's a couple of opportunities still to get past. One of them's coming up to the right hand in a second.
And there he is, and there's the look perhaps, and it's no go, not yet. Round the corner, round the right-hander there, and Dirk manages to accelerate and open that gap just a tiny little bit, but it's not enough to put Jörg Müller off from the opportunity of being able to clinch the win of the motor race yet, but he's got a lot to do. Last lap, closing second, Jörg Müller tucked right underneath Dirk Müller onto the rumble strip on that side, across the other side, through that plastic gate, and it's going to be Dirk Müller to take the flag. Müller from Müller. But it's not the one who won 4 times in the last 2 seasons. It's Dirk Muller and the BMW team. Delighted in the 1-2, I'm sure. And just behind them then you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Seats in the names Rydell, Tarquini, Genet, Terting and Thompson before Andy Frio. Rob Huff managed to get himself up to 9th place with the Chevrolet. And Tom Coronel, the first of the independents. Looking further down, where's the Alfa Romeos? Well, Morbidelli looks to be the first of those in 20th. The leading Chevrolet, of course, was Huff, and the Honda Accord of Cortals finishes in 16th place. Well, great race from 2 BMWs. Remember, they reversed the grid, and we're back. More excitement in just a second. Well, what a start, and we've got it to come again. And as David has just pointed out to me by looking at the first 8, when we get to the second race, they head now, of course, for Parc Fermé, but the cars can't be worked on. There's a little time when they are allowed to work on later before the second race, but we'll have an all-British front row because Andy Prio finished in 8th. He'll take pole position, and next to him will be James Thompson, who finished in 7th place. So a BMW and the Seat will have the start and the front row, and 2 British drivers will have it. There's the race winner, and he's delighted, isn't he? Absolutely delighted. The two of them, I think, I'm sure will get on very well together anyway, Jörg Müller and Dirk Müller.
Yes, they do. They always have done. They've been teammates for a long time with the Schnitzer team, and yeah, that's a very happy Schnitzer team. As you said, BMW didn't do very well in the last race, but in this race, first and second, there's not much more we can ask for that. And the next BMW finishing 8th, and that one will be on the front row, ready to make a good start for race 2. So BMW were looking for a win in the second race with Andy Prio.
No, tell me the truth. If the two of them then are shaking hands, beaming smiles, Jörg Müller's saying, I hate you, isn't he, deep down? He's saying, I absolutely hate you. Isn't he?
No.
Oh, come on.
Their teammates have worked together for a long time.
And
they do get on very well.
I'm sure they accept on the track. And he did him. So there we are, now into Parc Fermé. The congratulations coming in. What on earth happened to Alain Menu?
Alain Menu, I don't know, had a problem. He was running along with Robert Huff and Larini in 10th, 11th, 12th place, but just towards the end he dropped right down to 19th. But he was ahead of Morbidelli with the Alfa Romeo, and right behind Morbidelli was Augusto Farfus, so they've finished 20th and 21st. That, I have to say, must be the worst result I have ever seen for a Works Alfa Romeo 156. Admittedly, they've not entered as Works cars this year, but they are the Works team that was there last year. They still have the same cars. They've got one of the same drivers, Augusto Farfus. to every intention they're almost a works team, and I have to say they obviously feel they've got a lot of work to do at this track. They certainly didn't like it. We heard yesterday them saying that they're really struggling here, and that certainly they are.
There's a British 7th, 8th and 9th, in fact. Robert Huff just finishing outside the top 8 with the Chevrolet. Ivan Muller, the championship leader, not a point scorer for him. He said he thought he would struggle. He's carrying the 65 kilos, of course, and finishing in 13th spot. Emmett O'Brien, a likeable gentleman from Dublin, finishes further back than that. So we've got a little while to wait. The cars stay in Parc Fermé, and then they reverse the front 8. That's a real balancing act, isn't it? We'll have an all-British front row, and we'll see the two Mullers, Jorg and Dirk Muller, starting on the 4th row of the grid. And so there'll only be one BMW, Andy Prio, up there, ahead of, in fact, five Seats.
That's right. On pole position will be Andy Prio. Then you've got Thompson a Seat, Turting in a Seat, Genet in a Seat, Taquini in a Seat, Rydell in a Seat. This is a quick 1-minute resume of the race that we've just seen, showing some of the highlights of the race. That was the start with the two BMWs managed to get away, and you can see the BMW sliding there around the corners, inside view from Dirk Muller's car. And there's a Chevrolet sandwich with the Seat of Ivan Muller stuck in the middle between those three Chevrolets.
If anything, that's probably what caused Ivan Muller not to be able to get really going at all, because, I mean, he's really, even with the 65 kilos, it made pretty hard work of that, the man who was second, or who was leading the championship after 2 second places in Monza.
But 65 kilos is a lot of weight,
yeah.
If you look at it. But there you see one very happy man, Dirk Muller. He won that race, managed to overtake his teammate during it. A very happy team boss as well in Charlie Lamb.
Well, the drivers able to confer their thoughts and take a, well, not relaxation, but it's a great formula in a way where you go, there's so short a time, both for spectators, drivers, competitors, before it actually fires into action again. It's not as if you've got this long gap in between the two heats.
No, you haven't. You've only got something like 15 minutes for them to work on the cars to get them back out. But before that, while they're in Parc Fermé, they will have the presentations to the drivers of the trophies for the first race. And the drivers will come out and get their trophies and their champagne. Looking at Dirk Muller's car there. Fantastic start from Muller. I mean, we said that Jorg Muller had made a great start, which he did, but you know, just as we were announcing how well he'd done at the start to get through the front row of the Seats, there was Dirk Muller coming right round the lot of them, and behind Jorg Muller for a BMW 1-2 that continued despite the battle between the two of them throughout the race. That's right. Dirk came from 6th through to 2nd by the time we got round the first corner, and that just shows you what an advantage the rear-wheel drive cars have off the start line.
Well, Rickard Rydell be happy to get onto the podium there. Jorg Muller and Dirk Muller, of course, the vice champion. And there he is. BMW a lot happier than they were in the tail end of the Monza meeting, David.
Yes, very much happier. You can see just how happy he is standing up there on top of that platform.
He's won here before, so he's notching up the victories. And I mean, if you were reading it and you didn't see the first names in front of them, there'll be that many Mullers around in the history of Magny-Cours of the last few seasons. But let's enjoy this.
gagne avec la victoire de Dirk Müller. Sous vos applaudissements, mesdames et messieurs, nous allons tout de suite accueillir Tom Coronel qui vient lui aussi.
David Leslie, looking at Dirk Müller on there. Do you think we're going to be seeing a BMW driver top of the pile when he gets to the end of the second race?
I would think yes, and I'm not sure how well these BMW guys are going to get past the 5 Seats, the 2 we see standing on the podium, but don't forget that on the front row starting beside the Seat will be Andy Prio, and Andy will be looking for a very good start, get himself into the lead and just sit there and hope that the Seats will fight amongst themselves and keep the 2 works drivers behind. Also up on the podium there, obviously, you see Tom Cornell. He was the highest placed of the independent privateers.
Yeah, he didn't have a good meeting on Monza, did he?
I know he didn't. He had some damage there. He's still got the old Seat Toledo rather than the new Seat Leon. And but second in that category was Luca Rangoni, who finished only 2 seconds behind him.
Andy Prio fans will be noting that Andy's one of the first to say last year he won the championship, won it the season before. Last season only winning 1 race but winning the championship. He's won 1 race so far this season. He's going to start in pole position for this one. The absolute sort of dream come true to notch a victory here, wouldn't it? Particularly after that 140 mile an hour crash that happened in the second race.
That's right. He, like the rest of the BMWs, are coming to this circuit thinking they want to make up for what happened at the last race meeting, and he'll want to be trying to win that second race for sure. Certainly starting on the front row, the BMW on the front row, he'll very much be looking for that win.
Well, there's another man about 140 mile an hour shunt, same shunt to Dirk Müller. Wouldn't it be ironic if the two that had that shunt on either side of James Thompson's car actually won each of the 2 races here? One of them's already has. Who knows? It might be a prediction.
It's a very good prediction, I would say, at this moment.
45 kilos of weight, though, will have to be carried by Andy Prio, who will start in pole position. If you've just joined us, well, you missed a very good first race, and let me tell you about the starting grid in reverse order. And we'll run it backwards from the 4th row, because that gives us the winning order as well. Dirk Müller was the winner, BMW from BMW of Jörg Müller. And then it was Ricard Rydell from Gabriel Tarquini, Seat, and then Genet and Terting, who will make up the second row. And the front row will be Andy Prio, finished 8th, and the 7th place man is James Thompson. Of course, that's another Seat. So we've got Seats all over the place, and a BMW on the front row, and a couple of BMWs lurking with great intent on row 4. It's going to be a very interesting race indeed, David.
Yes, it is, and the BMWs, we know they make very good starts. They'll probably get a couple of the Seats off the line, but can they get enough to get through towards trying to make inroads into Andy Prio? And as you've seen everybody going around, they really are pushing hard all the time. They do have very quick times indeed.
So we should be able to, David, I think we can get to the pit road now and hear from Dirk Müller.
Dirk Müller, Magny-Cours remains the property of a German BMW driver. Last year, Jörg Müller. This time yourself, a fantastic race out there.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm really happy. I mean, first of all, my mechanics worked till this midnight, 1 o'clock, and thank you guys, Schnitzer. They did a really good and great job. Helped me to get a really good car. I had the perfect start. I think it couldn't have been even a bit better, and I jumped in 2nd place, and then my only thing was just to wait for a mistake of Jörg. This happened 3 laps before the end, and I got the possibility to pass him, and that's the whole story. I'm really happy.
And you climb up to 2nd place. Overall, that's also a satisfaction in the championship.
That is a big satisfaction, but I was leading 8 rounds last year, and I lost it in the final one. So you need to get points out of each race. I'm happy, but there's still a long way to go, and I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Well, he says he's happy. Wonder if he'll be happy or as happy after the second race. I'm looking at the championship points table, and we'll get up to date with that in a moment or two. And while we're waiting to get up to date with that, we can go back to that press conference and hear from Jörg Müller.
Jörg Müller starting 3rd on the grid, a fantastic start to the race, and then a hell of a battle with Dirk.
Yeah, it was very tough. I mean, I think we have to change something on our setup now because my car started to oversteer after 2-3 laps. I tried to keep him behind me, but it was very, very tough. And then I misshifted once, couldn't find a gear, so he got by. It's important for the team. It's important for BMW that we have a 1 and 2. And I'm happy with 8 points. I haven't had any points till now.
We all know that you're good friends with Dirk. It probably makes it a lot tougher to have a battle with him on the circuit.
Not really, we're friends besides circuit, but on the circuit when we've got our helmets on, it's a fight. Every one of us, both of us want to be world champion this year, so there's no friendship in racing.
Thanks a lot, good luck for race 2.
Yes, he's just been listening to you. He just said there's no friendship in the actual racing. We're friends off the circuit, David. And David Leslie, I can tell you, is at this moment working feverishly with his plume. And
yes,
have you got sort of that? There's just 1 point difference between Dirk Muller and the championship leader, Johan Muller. But let's go to Rickard Rydell.
Rickard, you started second on the grid, finished third. A smart race for you and for Seat.
Well, I was really hoping that we would have a little bit more pace than the BMW, but they were very, very strong here. And Dirk made a perfect start, and in the race I tried to push as much as I could, and I was hoping they would have a little coming together or something, and I could take advantage, but it was never really enough. So it was close, but not close enough.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Rickard Rydell, always the gentleman, and he will start on the third row of the grid in P5, if you like, position 5. And a reminder, if you just joined us, Andy Prio will have pole position because a reversal. He finished in 8th place. James Thompson making it an all British front row. And the car's now brought out of Parc Fermé, David, and they go into the pit road. Some minor things are allowed to be adjusted now, aren't they?
Once the Parc Fermé is finished, that's the time that you're not allowed to work on the cars. Once that's finished, the mechanics can do whatever they want to the cars to prepare them ready for the next race, and they only have a very short 15-minute gap in which to do all that work, and there'll be a buzzer will go, and everyone will know when to actually start work on it.
I was looking at the championship points there as they flashed up on the board. Johan Muller still with the lead of the championship. Dirk Muller now into second place with 15 points, and with the likes of Andy Prio, etc., failing to score. They're a little bit further down. Andy Prio and Augusto Farfus have to fall in line behind Gabriele Tarquini, who has 12. We'll take the shortest of breaks and be back with more of the action. Go nowhere. So we look forward to the second race. Remember, with the reverse grid, and a special hello to all the Andy Prio fans, especially those at his originating home in Guernsey, where David tells me he's returned to live in Guernsey now. So I think there's probably a whole island of Eurosport watchers there will have their fingers and toes crossed in the hope that he can be victorious. Thanks for joining us, but mind you, where else could you be? And there'll be not a few James Thompson fans there hoping also that, well, not in Guernsey perhaps, but certainly in Yorkshire, he'll be hoping that he can do his bit. The two British drivers on the front row, and I mean, they've got to have a bit to do there, aren't they? They're going to have a bit to do.
Yes, they're going to have a lot to do, whatever happens, because these cars, the two works BMW, is going very quickly. But you heard Dirk saying that he wanted to change his car to make it a little bit better, and sure enough, they've got the suspension off their car to change some of the settings on the suspension of this BMW for Dirk Muller. And up and down the grid, depending on what happened to you in your race, they'll be doing various small changes. The driver will have been able to relay through the radio system to his boss what's actually been happening. And then you can see the rear tyres with lots of rubber on there.
And a chance to have another look there at the man who won, Dirk Muller, in that first race. Jürgen Muller behind him. It wasn't like that all the way through. You were with us, you know. If you weren't, I can tell you, great start by Jürgen Muller in between the two Seats on the front row. He dived through, but Dirk Muller did more than dive through. He went round them all and got into second place. He held that position with Rickard Rydell breathing on his neck for quite some time, but then made his move when he said that Jorg made a mistake, and that got him through. So certainly a very, very good race victory for Dirk Müller. And there he is, a happy man.
And there we see the engine compartment of the BMW with the new 4-cylinder engine that's in there, and carbon fibre inlet tracts going from the air intake into the engine where the fuel injectors sit, and that's Jorg Müller's car, sponsored by genuine BMW parts. Moving down the pit a little bit, you get to the Alfa Romeo guys, obviously having a very torrid time, as you said earlier, because they're finishing way down in what was it, 20th and 21st place for Morbidelli and Farfus, and I really can't remember the last time they were that far down. So the N Technology guys have got lots of work to do. Farfus already strapped into the car.
He probably won't get out. He's probably that angry he won't get out.
3, 2, 1, 0, jingle.
Well, we're going to take a look at the man who is sitting there now for the most exciting drivers on the World Touring Car circuit, Brazil's Augusto Farfus. This year he'll be the leader of the team. He's only 23 years old, and we'll hear from him now. He says, I'm not the leader, I'm the driver with the most experience, especially on this type of car. My two teammates, Salvatore Tavano and Gianni Morbidelli, are also drivers with a lot of experience, a good base to work, a good car. I hope to improve compared to last season. We really have a good car. It's important against fierce opposition. It's going to be a great season. Well, not quite so today. One person who knows Farfus by heart is Alfa Romeo N Technology boss, Monica Sitz. Let's hear from her.
We have
a lot of experience with Augusto. During the two previous seasons, he gained a lot of experience and improved a lot. We also improved as a team with him. Now, I really believe he can really do well, especially on some of the circuits where I feel he has got that extra bit that can make him win there. Like many racing car drivers, Augusto Farfus has his little habits before getting into his Alfa, when it's behind the steering wheel. But religion is very important to the Brazilian. It is really important for me to religiously sign myself with the sign of the cross before the races. It's something that I always do because I always think of God. I know it'll help me and protect me. Augusto Farfus is one of the youngest drivers of the World Touring Car Championship. He is also one of the fastest and the craziest. Some incidents are quite fierce. I wouldn't say that I'm crazy. I might go to the limit. Some say that I'm crazy, but I try to go to the limit. I try to get as close as possible to the limit.
Stare no limite, esse che è il mio obiettivo.
It's obvious that when you're so young, you have a share of craziness more than others. This is Gianni Morbidelli. To win the championship, he really needs to try very hard. And things that sometimes get a bit cold-blooded, but he needs to be more calm. Augusto started the World Touring Car Championship in fine fashion. He deserves a chance for Formula One, says Morbidelli. At the age of 22 or 23, I think that he has all the qualities to have a chance in Formula One. He deserves to drive a few laps in Formula One. I think it would be deserved because he really is a very quick driver. So a great start to the season for a man that has the talent and speed to go to Formula One. But first, he has to prove it in World Touring Cars. Well, they're getting the grid ready again. Goodish crowd yet again. David, we can see the stand-up on the far side there, and the weather's holding nicely too.
Yes, they always get a very good crowd at the World Touring Car Championship. When you've got so many good drivers of world-class ability out there and a full grid of 33 cars, you have to say that it is a big attraction. And what we've just seen in race 3 of this championship, it is still as close as ever, and it's still as hectic as ever.
And remember, if you've just joined us, a full BMW, a full British front row. So the grid is reversed. A reminder that weight is being carried by a number of the drivers, and that's going to be a bit of a disadvantage, as it showed in the last race and in qualifying, to the driver of that car we saw for a moment ago, Andy Priaulx. But we'll be getting the opportunity to have a look at some SEAT animation. The SEAT animation that was really working very well at the second race, well, throughout the two races at Monza, which saw them take the lead in the Constructors' Championship.
You can see it hasn't taken very long for the mechanics to do their work on the cars. They've got all them fixed and back onto the circuit, drivers in, and they're working their way around to position themselves back on the grid in their starting order for the next race. Remembering the top 8 have got a reversed grid, so we've got Andy Priaulx and James Thompson on the front row for the start of race 2. But you see Ivan Muller there, who finished down in I think it was 13th place.
13th place, so not good for him, because we are going to look at the sequence now, which is a little bit of a technical explanation concerning the SEAT. Because of aerodynamic configurations, it has more drag compared to BMW and Alfa. So at the beginning of the season, the SEAT Leone had been modified in the front with a new spoiler, and it, compared to 2005, is a bigger one. The new configuration reduces the impact of air against front tyre and turbulence generated in this area. But the main change has been done to the car's bottom. The part of the car that last year did not cover all the mechanical parts, as radiator, engine, gearbox, suspensions and exhaust, and the impact of air with all these elements generated little turbulences that produced high drag level. To solve this problem, a completely flat car bottom has been installed under the car. All the mechanical parts are hidden, and air flows can run easily under the car without generating any additional drag. That, David, has got to help.
Yes, it does. It certainly helped them at Monza and the big long straights there, because they were as quick as anything else that was there, and it certainly helps them here as well. So that was a rule change purely for SEAT to try and help them, to try and make it a very even playing field in the World Touring Car Championship.
And now there we can see Ivan Muller. Not a happy time for him. He's still a championship leader. One doubts whether he will be at the end of today. Dirk Muller lurking now with just 1 point behind him on 15 points, and I think Gabriele Tarquini in third place with some 12 points. Yes, we're right. And then it gets down to fourth equal place between Augusto Farfus, well, the very failing today Alfa Romeo with Augusto Farfus on board, and Andy Priaulx, the man starting in pole position. So it's not inconceivable that at the end of this race we might see Andy Priaulx somewhere around first, second in the championship, which means of course he'll carry weight at Brands Hatch as well, with a little bit more success weight. Possibly.
Yes, all these guys who finished near the front all carry weight. Most of the year, but it varies depending on how much. At the moment, Ivan Muller's got the most at 65 kilos. That will drop, I think, after this race meeting. And then you got Farfus on 55 kilos, Andy Priaulx 45 kilos. Gabriele Tarquini 30 kilos. Alan Menu had 20 kilos because he finished third in the second race at Monza. James Thompson 20 kilos, Andressando Balzan with 10 kilos, and Dirk Muller started with 10 kilos. Everybody else had their normal standard weight without having to carry anything extra at all. We can see now all the cars working their way up through onto the grid. That was Andy Priaulx, the BMW, heading towards pole position. We've seen there that bright orange car. There's the car belonging to Tom Cornell. That's one of the Chevrolets coming up onto the grid, and the Chevrolet did very well in that last race because they finished in 9th place. They were just 1 place away from scoring a point, and that was with Robert Hoff, and Rob certainly did a very good job out there.
Well, the vice versa, that Alan Menu, it didn't go so well for him at all. He was up there, he was up and around somewhere around the top 10 places, wasn't he? Just outside the top 10 at one stage.
He was only 2 positions behind Robert Hoffett for most of the race, to be perfectly honest. It was only in the last couple of laps something happened. I'm not sure whether he got tagged with somebody turned around, spun or whatever. I think that's what happened, an educated guess, and he went backwards, finishing way down in 19th.
So very shortly we'll be there with the second race, and you'll be with us. Fasten your seatbelts. We'll be at it in just a moment. And David Leslie, my co-commentator, my name's Tony Delahunty, and we're licking our lips with anticipation that this all-British front row will be able to hold off the cars charging from behind. Will Andy Priaulx, despite having the extra 45 kilos on board, will he be able to make one of those characteristic BMW starts? And will the pack of Seats, perhaps in battling with the BMWs of the Müller, Jörg and Dirk, will they help, in effect, Andy Priaulx from being able to be hauled in by the other BMWs, or maybe get away? It's all going to be very interesting indeed.
It's all very close out there. The times for all the cars are all well within like half a second of each other, so no one's going to be able to sort of run away with any of the races. But certainly Andy will be looking to make a very good start and hope that at least there'll be a couple of Seats between him and the two Works BMWs of Jörg and Dirk Müller.
And while we're talking, can we just talk with about Dirk Müller and Andy Priaulx and the incident which involved also James Thompson, which effectively totaled the cars of Andy Priaulx and Dirk Müller, and put them, of course, out of any points in the second race. At fault, would you point the finger?
Very difficult. It was a very high-speed accident. We could only see certain angles of it with the TV that was involved, but there was 3 people going around the corner together. Andy on the inside, James in the middle, and Dirk on the outside. So whose fault it was, couldn't really say, but certainly it was very disappointing for the BMW boys. And that was on the second race of the season, the first meeting at Monza last time out.
It must have been disappointing, particularly for Andy Priaulx. I mean, both the Dirk Müller and Andy Priaulx were coming up from their positions, which had been at the latter part of the grid, because, well, the latter of the first 8, because of course Andy Priaulx had to start in 8th place.
That's right, having won the first race, and he was coming through the field quite nicely. And Andy's very good. He knows how to finish races and score points, because that's what he's done for the last 2 seasons, to win both the World Touring Car Championship last year and the European Touring Car Championship the year before. So having won them twice, he really is very determined to try and keep hold of that title. But you can see quite a large crowd there, and somebody's found themselves on a TV screen giving you a little bit of a wave there. Wrapped up, so it's not exactly sunny in Magny-Cours, and everyone feeling the temperature a little bit.
Temperature's going to hot up in a minute, I'll tell you. It's going to get pretty hot at the front of that grid. There's Terting there, the German driver. Time to get in, time to start addressing the thoughts of the second of these World Touring Car Championship. Effectively, it's race 4 in the championship. Next one is at Brands Hatch. You'll be looking forward to that one, David.
Yes, that's quite close, so looking forward very much to Brands Hatch. That's a circuit that very few of these drivers have raced on before, so it'll be quite interesting for a lot of them. If you're looking at these cars and wondering why the wheels and tyres have got a large glove on them, or what looks like a large glove, they're wrapped up basically, it's because these are tyre warmers. They want to try and keep the tyres as warm as possible, so they've got lots of heat in them for the start of the race. And they arrive on the side of the circuit on a trolley with a generator and a thermostat to make sure they're kept at the right temperature before they put onto the car. When they're put onto the car, they're still left wrapped up, although the generator is no longer connected to them, to try and keep them as warm as possible. And only 5 minutes before the start of the race, when they have to have the cars sitting on the ground, will they actually quickly take these wrappings off the tyres, wheels and tyres, and then let the car down onto the ground. And that'll be the car then ready to go whenever the officials allow it away.
We're looking at the car a moment or two ago of Gabriel Tarquini. I hope he's not losing any sleep at the moment, courtesy of the new baby there, Matteo. He said if he wins, he'll dedicate the victory. He's got a lot to do for that. Rickard Rydell just finished in 3rd spot, so inherits the position of P5 on the grid, the 3rd row of the grid, to start in 5th because of that reversal of the 8th situation. So you've got ballast introduced in this championship, you've got a reversal of the grids in this championship, all meant to balance and get the racing as close as possible for both driver, competitor, team and public.
It gives each of the manufacturers and each of the drivers a chance to win races, and it really does, because it is so close out there. We've seen that in the first race, we've seen it at the first race meeting. all these guys very, very closely matched, and they are very much nose to tail. And in the second race at Monza, it got a little bit closer than that when they sort of started running into each other. And I'm hoping that it won't be the same for the second race here at Magny-Cours. I hope they'll keep it nice and clean, and nobody will be getting pushed off the circuit whatsoever. But there we are, the drivers getting their gloves on at the very last minute. Everything else is ready. And you can see the gear lever sitting there right beside the driver, so it's within easy reach away from the steering wheel.
Andy Priaulx, of course, has won here. He won here in the second race in the 2004 season when it was the FIA ET European Touring Car Championship. And in that season, Dirk Müller won the first one. So are we going to get an action replay of a 2004? I mean,
it could very well happen.
Yeah, Dirk Müller won race 1 and Andy Priaulx won race 2. Well, I think that would be a very happy result for Andy Priaulx, who would love so much to make a hat-trick of FIA championships. Tom Coronel there.
There's the 3-minute board, and by now all the cars will have been on the ground with their tyre warmers taken off, and that's the time when the majority of the people leave the pit road. There'll be one person left with each of cars, and he'll have the jump start battery, an extra bit of battery to help start the cars just before they set off.
We're looking at drivers there looking very calm and everything else, just as if they're having a day at the office. Well, they're in the office, really. Their office, aren't they?
Yes, it is. That's what they do for a living. That's their office. Some people will go to an office in a tower block somewhere. These guys go and sit in a race car. That's their office. And they're nowhere happier than when they are sitting in a race car, because, you know, to have a job whereby you go race motor cars, it's one of the best jobs in the world. What better can you ask for?
Well, some drivers must get nervous, some more than others.
Every driver gets nervous. All those drivers that are out there get nervous. That is no tomorrow. It doesn't matter how experienced you are. Start of a race, always at the start of a race, the butterflies go through the stomach, and you feel like, what am I going to do? Where am I going to change gear? Going to make sure I get a good start off this line to get to the first corner first. Think about, you know, if I'm further back, how many places can I make up before I get to the first corner? A lot of nerves at the start.
Well, let's have a look at the season. The WTCC season started at Monza. 2005 World Champion Andy Priaulx couldn't start better this season. Pole position and victory, demonstrating he'll be part of the battle this year.
And what we're looking at now is the pictures from Magny-Cours from the first race, where it's a quick resume of what actually happened during the first race at Magny-Cours here.
And there we see a bunch of Seats together. Oh, and that's very together as well. Celebrate motor racing. Does it matter who wins? They're happy. And there we see Andy Priaulx, who will be in pole position. And they're the man who finished 13th, still the championship leader, but be it only by a point, even money. Check of the watch. Off they go on the warm-up lap. Thought we were going to have the time, but we couldn't manage to get that time in to look back at earlier this season. But we'll look ahead. Right after this break, we'll be racing. And if you're watching this with the same anticipation that I'm sure you are, that we are, two British drivers on the front row, and a gaggle of Seats and a couple of very quick BMWs behind them, and another 12 laps of World Touring Car action. What are you doing when you're going round now? You're checking things, you're looking at the gauges. Is that what's happening at the moment? And you're just keeping it all together, nice and calm?
Yeah, they're trying to be nice and calm. You see the cars weaving around. That's trying to keep the heat in those tyres. That heat put in with the blankets that were put onto the tyres to try and warm them up. A little bit of that heat will have been lost while the cars are sitting there for the 3 minutes before they had to start their warm-up lap. So they're weaving the cars around to try and put heat back into the tyres, because you don't want to arrive at the first corner and turn in as though you're normally flat out to discover the tyres aren't warm, and you find out they're cold and therefore don't have the grip that you expect, and all of a sudden you go sliding off across the gravel. So these guys are accelerating and braking and weaving from side to side to try and get that to work really well.
Well, only be a few more seconds now. Gianni Morbidelli with Alfa Romeo. They've certainly got a lot to do to improve their fortunes today. And Seat, still with the lead of the Manufacturers' Championship, looked dominant again in qualifying, in practice sessions, etc. And we thought it might have been Jörg Müller who would upset the apple cart, but it was Dirk and Jörg in a BMW 1-2 as the rolling lap car peels off into the pit road, and we're all but ready into getting under the grid orders as they form up for 12 laps. It could be very exciting indeed. So Andy Priaulx, the last 2 seasons champion, winner of the first race at Monza, finished 8th, carrying 45 kilos. Next to him, James Thompson with one of a whole gaggle of Seats. There's Priaulx, there's the gaggle, and you see the 2 white cars just to the edge of the picture there. That's Dirk Müller, Jörg Müller. There's the green, there's the lights in the top corner of your screen. They will change in just a moment, and let's look at this start and see what actually happens with it. And away they go. And is it going to be? Yes, Andy Priaulx. Good start from him. Big swing on that corner. Gets a perfect start from Andy Priaulx. But already, I think we've got Dirk Müller. He's made up 1 place so far. He's going to make another through the inside of that corner. So Dirk Müller going, and they're very, very close together. It's a sandwich there, and Müller's just got away from that sandwich. There's 1 car at least off into the gravel trap there. That was a Seat that went into there. We'll pick that up. He's managed to keep the car going. There's another car going as well. But oh my goodness gracious me, the car sideways on. Absolute kerfuffle there. But none of that bothering Andy Priaulx. And we can see Andy Priaulx at the front. He's got 2 Seats behind him. And then it's the car of Dirk Müller coming forward. And there is Dirk, and Dirk Müller at the moment. We're just seeing that car in that's Zanardi who just made the quick turn and back onto the circuit. So there's been all sorts of excursions. There's Jörg Müller as well. And now it's Andy Priaulx is under a great deal of pressure, and the pressure coming on from James Thompson. So it's Brit from Brit it may be, but it's Andy Priaulx in the BMW. In 4th place is Dirk Müller. Here's David Leslie.
I know it's not Dirk, it's Jörg Müller. Dirk Müller's not there. He's one of the people that had the incident and into the gravel when everybody went off in the 2nd corner of the circuit. So we've got at the moment Priaulx, Thompson, Genet in 3rd place, the 2nd of those 2 Seats.
And there's Dirk Müller parked up.
So he did go off. He went off when it Seat. He must have had it coming together with a Rydell. Rydell's missing out there, and so is Tarquini. And that's the 3 main cars. There were other cars involved in that incident. I've seen one of the blue BMWs sitting in a gravel trap as well. So we've lost about 4 or 5 cars because of that 2nd corner incident. But there we can see Jörg Müller now sitting comfortably in 4th place. He'll want to try and get past those 2 Seats. Those 2 Seats are lining themselves up to try and get past Andy Priaulx. Andy made a very good start, made a couple of mistakes. Here's the start all over again. You can see how quickly the BMWs take off the line. There goes Jörg. And Dirk was struggling a little bit. And as they come here, that was a bit of a squash. There's the Seats getting involved now. They've touched, and that takes off. What happened is Dirk turned to try and miss the incidents as they were turning themselves around, 3 of the Seats, and the BMW went off to the inside to try and miss that. I've got a funny feeling it's something, and that's what it wasn't a Honda. Sorry, it wasn't a BMW. It was a blue Honda, number 23. That looked like Pierre-Yves Cortal with the first of the Hondas.
So let's sort out the leaderboard then. It's Andy Priaulx from James Thompson, from Jordi Genet, then it's Müller, then Das, then Tarquini. Farfus up there in 7th place at the moment, and we've got also the other Muller at 8th place at the moment. Ivan Muller, the championship leader. That championship not under threat, that lead not under threat at the moment from Dirk Muller, because Dirk Muller has stopped on the circuit after that going off. But looking at the front of this, it's still Andy Prio up front, but is he going to be able to stay clear? Because those Seats in the sandwich, in the BMW sandwich from Jörg Muller, are chasing hard after him with 2 of the 12 laps completed. About 6/10 of a second the gap between the first and second place, and James Thompson there trying to get after Andy Prio, and Andy Prio will be hoping that they can keep Jörg Muller at bay, because Jörg is carrying no weight at all, and Andy Prio is carrying 45 kilos. It's a big ask, isn't it?
It is. It's a lot of weight to both accelerate out of corners and to try and brake and slow down as well. And then you can see the gap between those first 4 back to an independent BMW, and this is looking back to Nicola Larini in the Chevrolet. And I'm trying to think who's that's in front of him. I think it's
Robert Hoffer and Larini are running together with the 2 Chevrolets at the moment, and they're running in 9th and 10th place. But Prino on that lap, whether James Thompson's got enough attention by his teammate Jordi Geni on him, I don't know. But he's opened 4/10 of a second on that lap. So Andy Prio at least being able to benefit from that. And at the moment, it's Jörg Muller who's having the problem, and that is a bit of an explanation in itself.
And that was Zanardi who got spun round there at the hairpin, so he's just trying to get himself going again, and they really are. Oh, that's what went wrong.
Zanardi sort of muscled off the track there, and
that was 2 of them gone off.
And there's Dirk Muller. He was a very happy man before, now be a very unhappy man.
And that's Rickard Rydell standing in the pit lane, so he's no longer taking part in this race. So what was a very good start, unfortunately, has turned into a nightmare for some of these drivers. And I have to say that's what happened in the second race at Monza as well.
Well, Jörg Muller had a little look down there to see if he could get past Jordi Geni, but if anything, these 2 Seats are well, not intending to, but are protecting the lead at the moment of Andy Prio, because they're not really getting that much closer to him. It's still stayed on that lap as 9/10. We're a quarter race distance in now. We've just started the 4th lap of the race, and it's still up at the front, Andy Prio, and he's a man who knows how to lead a motor race, you said, David.
Yes, he's led quite a few of these races, won quite a number of them, and he'll be concentrating very hard on just going forward. He's seen he's got a little bit of a gap between himself and the people behind. He's using every inch of that circuit right to the edge of using. There you are, one very dejected Dirk Muller watching on. He's at the far side of the circuit, he can't really go anywhere. But Andy managing to get away a little bit. This really will annoy Jörg Muller. Jörg will desperately now want to try and get past these 2 Seats, but getting past 1's bad enough. Trying to get past 2 is much more difficult.
Let me tell you one man who's having a little bit of better news, and that's Ivan Muller, because he's now up into 6th place, the championship leader, so he's benefiting quite a lot from this race. But Jörg Muller is really trying very hard to get past these 2, and they almost came together.
They did, and that was an overtaking manoeuvre, and that was Genet going past Thompson. So Thompson now in 3rd place, and Genet moved up into 2nd. And I think it was what looked like a defensive move to start with turned into a positive mood for Genet. And this is what happened. This was Genet came to the inside to look down the inside, and yeah, there he goes. That was him going past his teammate.
And if Genet is quicker, now we might see if Thompson holds up Muller, we might see Genet able to get that little bit nearer to the race leader. So Andy Prio could come under threat here, because already Genet is starting to get a little bit away from the car behind him, and that little bit nearer. I'm looking to see what the gap is next time we get it up on our watch, and I think it might be coming down just a little bit. And there we look from Jörg Muller's car. For the moment ahead at James Thompson, and it'll be maybe a little bit easier for him to get past James Thompson now, but he's got to make that move soon if he's going to hope to win the motor race, because he's going to need to gain ground on Andy Prio. And you can already see the gap opening up. Jordi Geni is up there as well, and looking at that there, 5 laps completed. That was a dive for the inside. He's going to make it stick, so we've got to change now, and that was the move that we were expecting, and it's happened now. So we have we've got a change on that leaderboard, and it's Müller who has made it. He made it through there, and it's not before time. He needed to make it with 5 completed.
Yes, he really did need to get past James Thompson. James seemed to be the slowest of the 4 cars at the front, and he had a very good overtaking manoeuvre to get past. James tended to get a little bit wide, but he was hanging in there. Unfortunately, couldn't hang on to it.
But there's still one more of the Seats to go through, and we're just picking up on that one, as well as some damage done to the car that we saw go through there, David.
That looks like Tarquini's car with the damage at the front. He was one of the people who was involved in that incident at the start of the race. And you can see now the cars further back, and that's Stefan Diasti really pressuring Rob Huff now, and that's for 8th place.
Stefan Diasti getting nasty.
He doesn't normally he's pretty good. He's independent. He has to pay for his own bills, repair his own car, so he tends to look after it a little bit.
Purely playing with words, David, purely playing with words, and not with words, with actions right at the front of the field. But there's Ivan Müller, and Müller in 6th place, so in the championship points on a French circuit, the only French driver in the championship. But looking at the front of the field again, it's showing 1.3 seconds between Prio and on half race distance now, and we're on board with Ivan Müller in 6th place, but he's got a lot to do yet, and we'd very shortly be concentrating back on the front of the field. But I can tell you at the moment that front position of Andy Prio has not changed, but there is a battle in there behind. It's showing 1.4 seconds to Jordi Genet, and then you've got Jörg Müller just a little bit off the pace there, not off the pace in the challenge if he can get up to Jordi Genet and get past him, but there is Andy Prio, concentrating very much on the road ahead, and there the battle just behind him. And there's Jörg Müller. Müller with Genet, the next car to try and get past. And James Thompson's fallen a little bit further back there at the moment, but James Thompson, who was on the front row of the grid, still very much amongst the championship points, but it's Andy Prio looking to double the number of race wins he got last season. He got 1 last season, he's looking to make it 2 this season, and at the moment it's looking like it might well be what we said would be an irony, because in 2004 the situation was that one of them won. That was Dirk Müller won the first race, and then Andy Prio won the second, but we've got a long way to go yet. Is that likely to happen? They're still fairly much close together, the top 3 cars, and Andy Prio now will be checking his mirrors, just keeping it all together. The gap is staying just about the same, and that will please him.
I think the race has sort of settled down a little bit, and unless somebody makes a mistake somewhere, then it's got to be very difficult for these guys to catch each other or pass each other, because they are just so closely matched out there. And we started this weekend with a whole stack of Seats at the front, unless he waved yellow flag for some reason, and somebody somewhere had gone off down in front of them. There it is, there's a car sitting in the gravel trap on the inside. You can see that from the onboard camera of the second place Jordi Genet there. And as I said, there was a stack of Seats at the front of the grid. Seats very, very pleased with their qualifying pace, but they knew the BMW was always going to be a nightmare when it came to the race. They knew it started very well, they knew it was going to be difficult to beat in a race situation. So while Seat have managed to get their qualifying sorted out, they've still got a little bit of work to do for the race situation.
Let me pick up on where it's starting to happen now. 1.8 seconds, not between first and second, between first and third, between BMW from Andy Prio, who's carrying 45 kilos of weight, from Jörg Müller, who is not carrying any weight and who finished second in the first race. In between them, the Seat in the sandwich is Jordi Genet, but from 2.2 seconds a lap ago, it's gone down to 1.8 seconds. So Jörg Müller very much on the case as I speak at the moment, and there's the sight of him. In front of him, Jordi Genet, the leader in front of that. That's Andy Prio. 7 of 12 completed. They're on the 8th lap, and let battle commence, because it's going to commence very fiercely, very soon indeed, because I think that these two might well be able to get right on the case of Andy Prio. My goodness gracious me, this is, you could cover the second and third with a blanket. Andy Prio just, if if you like, out of the shade of that blanket at the moment, but he could get hauled back into it. 1.287 seconds it was a little while ago between first and second, but of course at the same time that Jordi Gene can look at the car of Andy Priaulx in front of him, he's got to be very conscious in his mirrors that Jorg Muller is right behind him. Falling off that pace now is James Thompson. It is certainly between these three.
Yes, it is. These two have managed to ease themselves away. You can see there Jim Thompson in fourth, Tarquini in fifth, and Ivan Muller in sixth place, some 12 seconds back as Ivan. But these three still up for the lead. They've done 8 of the 12 laps now, and very, very tight indeed it is.
It's a long season. I mean, we're looking at Jorg Muller there. When does he make his move here? I mean, is he going to be saying, okay, well, I might just be happy, I've got good points from the first race today, I've got to have good points from the second race today, or would you see him making the move fairly soon? Because if he's going to go through, and have a real challenge to win this one, he's got to do it soon.
There you've seen Genet have a bit of a wobble going into there, and sure enough, one little wobble, and there's the opportunity, and Jörg goes through. And I was just about to say that these guys won't wait for anything. If they have an opportunity to go through, they will. And you know, they're not going to wait till the last lap to try and take second place. And there it was, he's through. And
well, we had BMW from BMW.
There, not very happy. He's just dropped back a place into third.
We saw BMW from BMW in the first race, and we saw a switch. We saw the one that was in the lead of the other one change, and then the honour went to Dirk Müller from Jorg Muller. So is Jorg Muller now going to hunt down yet another Jorg Muller victory, or can Andy Priaulx hold him off? Now that you can see the BMW separated from Jordi Gene, see it. You can see the gap opening there. So it's on him, as they would say. It's definitely on him. 1.2 seconds, 9 completed, last quarter of the race, and Andy Priaulx has somehow got to pull all the stops out. He's carrying 30 kilos more than the BMW driver behind him. Can he hold him off, David?
And this is the overtaking manoeuvre that happened through that chicane. Genet got a little bit wide onto the brakes, didn't get the car turned in, and Jörg just took that opportunity to dive down the inside, and that got him into that left-hand bend first. But he made a little bit of mistake through the first corner and has dropped a little bit away from Andy Priaulx, but still they're hunting him down.
So the big question on the crowd watching this race, can Andy Priaulx hold off? Well, it's 2 seconds, the gap from Jorg Muller. We did all sorts of arithmetic last time, and we found David Leslie to be the mathematician par excellence in working it out that it couldn't possibly be done. This time it could be done.
Awful mistake, as you've seen Jordi Gene make a mistake, and all of a sudden he lost second place, dropped to third. And you can see there James Thompson in the background. Further back there is Gabriele Tarquini, and then Ivan Muller and Peter Turting in 7th place. So basically you've got BMW's first and second, then you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Seat Leons next up. The only one really that's missing out of that group is Rickard Rydell. He's dropped out. He obviously had a problem.
And Alfa Romeo followers, Augusto Farfus, well, he's dropped back a little bit. They had come up the field somewhat. They're now in 12th and 13th place. Yerima Badelli in 13th place there. Balzan, who's leading the independent championship. As we see a change there, and that straight through, and Turting was the man who got through, and the man who has to settle behind him is the championship leader at the moment, Ivan Muller. And Ivan Muller, I think that's going to relegate him to 7th place. Yes, it is, to 7th place. But as that move is made, we concentrate again on a monitor that you cannot see at Magny-Cours, and that is the monitor where they're looking at now. They're seeing the position of the leader, and there is the leader. It's 2.3 seconds from Jorg Muller to the gap is opening. It looks as if Andy Priaulx not only has got the pace, but maybe that Jorg Muller has spent what he had in hand, because he's not, now that he's got past Jordi Gene, he's not now hunting down the man who who's in the lead of the road race. 10 of 12 laps gone, so they've just got the 2 remaining laps of the race. There's Andy Prio, and he's looking good at the moment, but as you say, it's never over until the fat lady sings.
Yeah, that checkered flag has to drop and you have to go past it before you can actually say you've won. Things can still go wrong, mistakes can still be made, and Andy will be concentrating very hard on what's going on in front of him in order to make sure he makes no mistakes, doesn't hit any curbs too hard, doesn't launch the car, doesn't suddenly let it step out sideways. But there's the move further down. That was for 6th and 7th. Peter Turkin's got past Ivan Muller, and then right behind those two is the 2 Chevrolets. The first one of Robert Hoff, and right behind him Nicola Larini. And then first in the independent category is Diasti, who comes up in 10th place, and right behind him is Roberto Colgiago, who we didn't see in the first race, but we seem to have lost Tom Cornell. He obviously had to come together with somebody who's dropped down to 16th overall and 3rd in class.
But still the leader, Andy Prio. Jörg Muller in 2nd place, so his BMW 1-2. There is Ricard Rydell's car. We saw him standing somewhat disconsolate in the pits earlier on, the 11th lap with Andy Prio, and I don't know whether there's been a little bit of a closing up there of no, 1.876. Yes, a tiny little bit of the closing, but I don't even need David Leslie's mathematics to tell me that at 2/10 a lap it's not going to get close enough. So we would need a mistake or some form of a malfunction on the technicals of Andy Prio's car to let the 2nd place man Jörg Muller get closer to him. Jordi Genet dropping a little bit away now. James Thompson still holding on to 4th place. Tarquini and Terting in 5th and 6th place before we have Ivan Muller. So they buzz around. They buzz around like bees, the Seats, don't they? They look like a load of bees buzzing around the place.
It could be the colour, that bright yellow colour with the blue and the red on it as well.
Yeah, as we saw on the technicals, flat-bottomed bees.
Yes, that's right.
11 laps completed.
And behind them, the 2 Chevrolets, they've swapped places now, and Nicola Larini has got ahead of Robert Hoff for 8th. So Nicola Larini will be scoring the last point in this race for 8th place.
And Alan Menu, of course, carrying 20 kilos of weight. He's in 14th place. And the leading Alfa, as we said before, that of Augusto Farfus, is in 12th position. 2 BMWs, then a Seat. And it's a man looking to win his 2nd race of the season. A man who wants to win the 3rd consecutive title, make it a hat-trick of titles from Guernsey. Lived for a long time in Towcester, near Silverstone. His wife Jo worked at the Silverstone circuit. I'm sure she's watching him with great pride and great hope at the moment too, because there's still a little way to go. Last lap though.
I think everything will be crossed, the fingers will be crossed to get to the end, to try and stay there in that 1st position.
Andy Prio then bringing the car round. He had a 140-mile-an-hour accident, and the other reciprocant of damage in that accident was the man who won the 1st race here, and that was Dirk Muller, out of this one, cruelly out of this one. But Andy Prio, who finished in 8th and got in that position to have pole, started well from that pole position. It looked for a while like he might be threatened, and we wondered if Jörg Muller had got through. We don't know what would have happened if Dirk Muller had got through, but we wondered if Jörg Muller had got through like he has, whether Andy Prio would come under threat, and threat he may be under, but he's bringing it round. They are a little bit closer together, another 0.4 of a second chipped away by Jörg Muller, but it's just a question of keeping it just there, keeping it right, and David Leslie just checking each corner as they go through, and Andy Prio just making it certain that he's got it together, got it right, got it on the island, making sure each corner the apex is right, the braking point is right, etc. And not, I would imagine, looking too much in his mirror. He doesn't need to look, because he knows that not too far away is Jörg Muller, and there is going to be the checkered flag and a delight on the pit road, and it's BMW 1-2 again, but they can probably hear him cheering in Guernsey.
I would think so.
And a few other places as well, I would have thought.
A very good result, and starting on pole position. But there's James Thompson coming across the line. He's in 4th place. He started in the front row. Still got a very good position out of it there. with Tarquini coming home in 5th and Terting in 6th, Van Muller in 7th, and that's all those 5 Seats finishing behind the 2 BMWs of Andy Priaulx and Jörg Muller. And Team GB for Andy Priaulx, and now you see them
Andy Priaulx
slowing down lap coming in.
Oh, I think we'll go into he'll go into the lead of the championship, won't he?
He will. With the points scored, he will go to the lead with 21 points. Second in the championship will be Van Muller with 18 points. Third in the championship will be Gabriele Tarquini with 16, and then equal to that is Jörg Muller on 16, and then we come down to Jordi Genet on 14 and James Thompson on 13.
But Andy Priaulx, the man who has had 2 FIA titles, and the one that sounds the greatest and the grandest, the world title.
That's
Tell us who that is. Tell us who that is. She's not in Guernsey, she's over there.
That's right, that's Andy's wife Jo, so a very happy girl indeed.
Well, Andy Priaulx, no doubt, absolutely delighted. Yes, you are. Yes, thanks for that, Andy. Well, I'm not going to blow you a kiss back, but there you go. And the junior Priaulx, absolutely, thoroughly delighted all through the family. Wife Jo pushing her way through the crowd as well. Not so delighted, the man who drove that car. He was earlier because he won the first race, but he was sidelined very early doors in the second. So there you are, the official results. Andy Priaulx finishes in first place, then Jörg Muller, Jordi Genet, James Thompson, Gabriele Tarquini finishing in 5th place, and Terting finishing 6th place there, completing the top 6. 7 and 8 scoring points. Ivan Muller, who was the leader of the championship, and a little bit further down the likes of Alain Magny finishing 13th. Balzan, who I think still heads the independent championship, or there or thereabouts, because Tom Coronel scored good points today. Balzan scoring some points in that second one. I think Tom Coronel might actually have gone into the lead. Maybe not, maybe very close indeed, but we'll perhaps have confirmation of that a little bit later on. So they rest again inside Parc Fermé. A double BMW, a BMW firing out an answer to Seat that what happened in the second race, where not one BMW finished in the top 10 at Monza. Well, 2 did, first and second in each of these. Another good crowd. There was 45,000. Not able to furnish you with the figure of what watched here at Magny-Cours in another region of France. And there is the points tally. David Leslie, my resident mathematician and all-round good guy, have already got that for us. 21 for Priaulx, Van Muller with 18, Tarquini with 16, level with Muller, with Jörg Muller, and Dirk Muller 15 up there. And there you are. Balzan will have 5 points, and I'm thinking that he scores those today. Larini and Zanardi scoring in those points as well. And the independents, it could look a little bit different, but time to hear from the man who matters most at the moment. Who better to hear from than Andy Priaulx?
Andy, that's what you call a smart weekend. You hung on to 8th position of race 1, started first of the second race, and victory on race 2.
Yeah, I'm delighted because with 45 kilos of ballast around here, it's really hard, and over the race distance it really hurts the car. So I knew that I needed to make a good break, a good start. I nearly gave away all my advantage in the 4th corner with a big lock up into the hairpin. We made some changes to the car, and it improved the car but changed it. But I'm delighted to have finished the second race in first position. I don't know where I am in the championship, but probably big ballast for Brands now.
Well, there you have it. You're first overall after this second round in Magny-Cours. That's a hell of a satisfaction so early.
Yeah, well, that's a great surprise, but I'm always thinking ahead, and that means big ballast for Brands Hatch, which is going to be a shame, but we'll fight hard, and hopefully we can carry weight all season, because if we're carrying the weight, that means we're doing all right.
The pressure's on all your rivals. Already a second victory this season.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's only going to get more difficult with the ballast. I didn't expect any more wins. I was happy to win the first race with everybody on equal weight at Monza, but to win another race is great. I mean, last year it took a long time to win, but two so early is absolutely amazing, and great job for BMW because they've built a great car and they're giving me the tools again.
Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
They're going to call him, aren't they? Big Ballast Prio or something like that.
He does have a lot of weight to carry now when he arrives at Brands Hatch. So he's quite happy to carry it, because if he's carrying it, then he knows he's doing well and he's scoring lots of points. And that's what makes a difference in this championship, is trying to go out there and scoring lots and lots of points at every race meeting.
And now let's find out from the man who finished second, Jörg Müller.
Jörg Müller, almost the perfect weekend. Victory race 1, second position of race 2. You're the king of Magny-Cours.
I didn't win the first race, but it's all right. I had 2 second positions, which is very good if you think about the fact that you don't have to win races to win this championship, because it's always due to weight situations. I'm happy with 16 points, I think. Brings me up into the championship because I arrived with 0, so I'm happy guy.
A word on the fight with Jordi Gene. That was one of the key moments of the race.
Yeah, it was also the fight with James Thompson. Both of them were doing a very good job. It was clean racing. I just got a very bad oversteering when I passed Jordi. I came into the curbs on the inside and my car got completely sideways. I was lucky that I catched it. Hopefully you've got some camera shots from that, because it was completely side to side. But it was good and clean fighting.
And a completely different story compared to Monza. You're now third overall.
No. Thank you. Thank you, Magny-Cours.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Yeah, well, there we are. This is a little bit confusing. All the Mullers to realise who's first and second. 3 in the championship's bad enough. None of them related.
It is confusing if you don't know the difference between the 3 Mullers, Jörg, Dirk and Ivan. But they're all very accomplished drivers.
Jordi, a good weekend here in Magny-Cours with this third position. A good result for Seat, but BMW really looking strong out there.
Yeah, BMW was very, very strong. It was a good result for Seat, but honestly I think we expected a little bit more than from this weekend. It's good that this year we need a lot of points. We have to fight for a world championship, so any point is important. But we should have been a little bit higher up in the positions.
Would you say that the difference was made at the start with the BMW rear power system, making them have a better start?
Yeah, but this is something we know. They have 2 advantages in front of us. One is the start. They always start 1 or 2 places. They always get back 1 or 2 places. And also the tires. They can push all the race and they don't destroy the tires so much. We have problems from mid-race on, because we attack much more on the front tires. So these are the 2 handicaps we have. And particularly, especially, I did good starts, but my tires went down a little bit by the end of the race.
Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Jordi Gene there. I mean, looking on to Brands Hatch, David Leslie, who's it going to suit more, the BMWs or the Seat?
It's a very difficult circuit for all the cars. There's a lot more twists and turns than some of the circuits they've been to so far. Certainly they started off with 2 very quick circuits with Monza and Magny-Cours, and having not seen it before, I'm not sure what's going to happen when we get there.
Well, let's look back on how it happened. And Andy Prio in pole position after finishing 8th in the first of the races. He drove to perfection, didn't he? Got away. He said he knew that carrying the extra weight, he'd have to work very hard, the 45 kilos. He did. Jörg Müller got through, but not through him. He got past Jordi Gene, but was unable to decrease the gap too much, and Andy Prio driving to perfection, heading perhaps for a 3rd FIA championship. Won 1 race last season, notching up those points. He's won 2 already this one. The number 1. That's the number he's after. And he goes in the lead of the championship to Brands Hatch. Well, the crowd have undoubtedly enjoyed themselves. Fabulous racing. I mean, more pressure than a lot of changes, and one still wonders what might have happened if, but it's an if, isn't it, if Dirk Muller hadn't been eliminated in that second one.
There's always lots of ifs in touring car racing, because that's what makes it so exciting. There's so many different incidents happen throughout a race, and you can see the different manufacturers there, Seat, BMW, then Chevrolet coming up. Alfa Romeo having a very poor weekend by their standards, the highest place there, 12th for Augusto Farfus. But absolutely fantastic racing all the way through the field, very, very fast indeed, very close racing, door to door, and we've seen one or two incidents, certainly the incident in the second corner where a couple of the guys had it coming together, and unfortunately Dirk Muller tried to miss it going to the inside and spun and into the wall, and that was the end of his race. But there you see the drivers talking between each other before they go out onto the podium. There's that little room just behind the podium at Magny-Cours, and they'll come out in reverse order. So in third place comes Jordi Genet.
And Jörg Müller, for the second time today, will climb on the second step of the rostrum. I thought he was going to give him a kiss then. He wasn't. Quick word in the ear. And applause for Jörg Müller. Big smiley face behind him. Smiley face of his own, of course. And then, well, we know the tune that comes next, don't we, David? And we love to hear it too. And to climb on to podium 1.
And that's for the second time this year, and there's Andy Priaulx very, very happy indeed to have scored a second win this year already, so early in the championship, when he won the championship last year with only one win for the whole season. So there he is on that top step.
And we should in a moment be hearing the national anthem. And a very, very, very pleased Andy Priaulx. I bet, you know, he might have thought, I'd love to come out of this meeting as the championship leader, but it actually took him by surprise. He hadn't done the calculations yet, you know. Perhaps he wasn't thinking that way, but he is the championship leader.
He is, and there in for the independents is Diasti, who's standing there.
A different independent winner. Winner of the fourth race of the World Touring Car Championship, the FIA World Touring Car Championship season at Magny-Cours. So he leads the championship on its way to Brands Hatch on the 21st of May. Jordi Genet, his own delight in picking the trophy up of third place. Crowd all the way up and down the pit road to celebrate with the victorious. And the victorious, as far as manufacturers are concerned, the edge definitely to BMW. The first two cars count towards manufacturers' points, and they've got the first two cars in both race 3 and race 4 of this season.
That's right, and it's a big turnaround for BMW. They had a bit of a shock at the first race meeting at Monza. They didn't do so well, but they managed to turn it around here in France at Magny-Cours. And there we are, presented with the winner's trophy for Andy Priaulx. One very happy young gent indeed, who's managed to suddenly put himself at the top of the championship table, as well as actually winning the race.
Well, we're going to be, obviously, Eurosport will be at Brands Hatch, giving you all the very, very best of the action. I'm sure you've enjoyed, and certainly I have, along with David Leslie, who knows of moments of excitement like this, some of the excitement of this race meeting. BMW do it with first and second in both. Andy Priaulx does it after that 140-mile-an-hour crash at Monza. He again stands right on the top of the podium, and he leads the champions. Congratulations to Andy Priaulx.